Hey guys, it is Christy Hafer, and I wanted to come to you guys with our story. I know you've seen a lot of people sitting at this bench with this backdrop and be able to share stories about their child or about what they were able to do because of the power of the human body through chiropractic care. And I wanted to be able to share with you as a parent and as somebody who loves children so much about my son and how we even got to where we are today and how Purpose Driven Chiropractic really found its way. And it was through my son. It was through my son, Landon. We opened this practice in 2008, and we really didn't have any idea at the time of the power of the human body. We were really focused out of school, and it's kind of what they teach you about muscles, joints, ligaments, and structure, biomechanics. We weren't really focused on the development and the central nervous system and the brain and how it's been able to operate and be able to integrate information. We were really focused on how does somebody's body and spine look. And while that's really nice and it's really helpful at times, it didn't answer all of the questions that I started to have about my son, Landon, because his preschool teacher had come to me, who was going to be his kindergarten teacher next year, and said, he can't go to kindergarten. We're setting him up for failure. He can't learn. There's just no way. And granted, we'd had conversations along the way, and we were exploring things that might be going on with him because he couldn't hold a pencil, he couldn't read or write, he was having trouble saying his name and several other hard consonants. He was having frequent meltdowns at home, not sleeping through the night terrors, frequent respiratory infections, including croup, every single winter. And as the chiropractor, I didn't know how to help him because I was so focused on bones and muscles. The first thing I did, of course, was take an x-ray of his spine because that's what we're trained to do. But a picture of those crooked bones didn't tell me what was going on with my son. It didn't answer those issues. I needed to know and care about what was going on inside of those bones and know how it was affecting his health and his brain and the way his brain and body communicated. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't have the tools to be able to do that. This child had been adjusted since birth, but in a very symptomatic way. So tons of people in the population do. They're going to go to a chiropractor when they have a symptom. So whether it's neck pain, back pain, or a headache, they're going to walk into a chiropractor's office, wait till that pain symptom goes away, and treat it again the next time it comes up. And I use treat in kind of a offset, almost harsh manner because chiropractors don't treat anything. What they're doing is removing a subluxation in their spine, which is stress and interference between the brain and body, and letting the brain and the body do what it's designed to do. But if you can't measure and detect it before it's been able to set in to be able to cause a symptom, that's a problem. And that's what I was doing with my son. I would adjust him if there was an issue. I didn't proactively check his spine. So when I went looking for answers and I took him to so many specialists and I got so many opinions, everyone said in their own way the same thing, and that his brain was unorganized. It had a processing disorder. Fine motor skills were off of his tongue, of his hands, of his eyes, and his brain was literally unable to process information effectively and efficiently, and that is freaking scary as a parent. You guys, it is scary, and if you've been in that situation before, you know what I'm talking about. It is scary to sit down and think about what is your son's future going to look like? What is his relationships going to look like? What's high school going to look like? What's homework going to look like as school gets to be more and more challenging? What's his job, career going to look like? I'm like, am I setting him up for a lifetime of struggle? I want to know how he learns best and how to help him thrive. So I started reading books. I started going to parenting classes. I had started asking my in-laws, did your kids learn differently? How can I help them? Because I know we didn't have that struggle in my home. And what I ended up finding was Dr. Tony Ebel and the Perfect Storm and the National Wellness Foundation. And they are there just trying their darndest to get this word out on the brain and the central nervous system, health and wellness, and the stress factors that are leading up to this, and getting kids proactive care so that we aren't having stress harbored inside their central nervous system and letting it affect them the way that it affected my son and in various ways in other children. So I did the training program. I've continued to train twice a month live with Dr. Ebel himself, as well as going to trainings where I fly out once a quarter and do trainings with tons of chiropractors. So the National Wellness Foundation has now put up a resource for parents to be able to go to and find a chiropractor who's trained the way we are. And that's with neurological scans. That's finding and removing and correcting a subluxation when it's there, and also preventing it in the future. That's why we are a home to wellness families. Once they've got the stress off their system, they know how awesome life can be. They're not willing to go backwards. So they want to get their system checked soon, often, and before it starts to take effect on their life and in their body. So the quicker that you can detect it and the quicker you remove it, then it can't get wired in your system. And your brain, like I say, it can only do the best it can with what it has. And that's exactly what my son was doing, the best he could with what he had. And man, did that look ugly. Because I gotta tell you, it was stressful on our marriage. It was stressful on his siblings. It was stressful on our in-laws, anybody that came to visit. They just didn't know how to communicate with Landon because it seemed like he was a defiant child, not wanting to communicate with others, not wanting to listen. And it was all about the way his brain was processing information. There was so much stress in an organization there. He didn't have the social skills. He didn't have the emotional regulation. He didn't have the self-confidence to be what we would consider a normal functioning child. He was so struggling. And the other day I was cleaning out underneath my bed, which tells me it's been too long since I've cleaned out from underneath my bed, but I pulled out a camping mat and found it rolled up and deflated, but it had been completely inflated and just tucked right underneath my bed for my son to be able to come in the middle of the night during one of his night terrors or just not being able to sleep through the night and still have our comfort and be able to pull it out and sleep next to us. Because coming and crawling in our bed late at night it stopped being effective for me and my husband to be able to get the right amount of rest that we needed to be effective and efficient and good parents and a good spouse and a good chiropractor in the morning. So Landon now is thriving. Landon now is in 3rd grade. He is accelerating. He is at a Montessori school where he's in the head of the class, and I'm so proud of him. I am so thankful for his struggle. He now has come to me and says he understands his struggle, that he knows that he had to have this. So there's other kids that won't have to go through what he went through, or that if they are, we can help them through it. And as he walked past the wall in our office that's covered with pictures of kids and adults who have been able to thrive because of chiropractic care, because we changed our practice around and started focusing on that central nervous system, the brain and the body, and removing that stress and detecting it and measuring it. He now sees people thrive, and he knows that he had the biggest piece of it. And I gotta tell you, it's a proud parent moment. It's one of those things you look back at and say, man, I'm thankful for my struggle. It's made me so much stronger. It's made my son so much stronger. And it makes us so grateful for the things that we have. So I just needed people to know where my heart is with the practice and why we do what we do and how much we love seeing children and families thrive and reach their potential.